Hello, in this video we'll look at a topic that is one of the most foundational in second language acquisition, input, and how it becomes intake. At its core, input is any language the learner is exposed to, what they hear and what they read in the target language. But there's a catch. Not all input becomes intake. Intake refers to the part of the input that the learner actually notices, understands, and mentally processes to build their internal grammar and use of the language. As Gass says, language learners create their second language grammar by forming, testing, and refining hypotheses based on the language they encounter. So how does input turn into intake, I should say. Well, here's where the debate begins. So Stephen Krashen's theory of acquisition suggests that this process is subconscious. Learners absorb language naturally, much like children do, and develop what he calls acquired competence. According to him, the key is comprehensible input. That is, language that is just a bit above the learner's current level. However, Richard Schmidt's noticing hypothesis counters this. He argues that intake only happens when learners consciously notice elements of the input. Subliminal learning, he claims, is impossible. So think of input as passing cars. If you don't pay attention, nothing is remembered. If you notice something, a red Ferrari perhaps, it makes it to your short-term memory. But unless you process or rehearse it, by using the language for instance, it never reaches long-term memory. Learners typically notice two things. One, the gap between their output and their correct form, for instance, mispronouncing comfortable and realizing the teacher says it differently to you. And two, the form, recognizing, for example, that let isn't followed by to infinitive, while allow is. Input only becomes meaningful when it's noticed, relevant, and connected to communicative intent. In other words, language must be more than just noise. It must have purpose. So in the classroom, our job is to provide input that is comprehensible, rich, and targeted, just challenging enough to push learners forward, but not so complex that it becomes inaccessible. We also need to help students notice through highlighting, questioning, or task design what's worth turning into intake. Thank you.